Hey there, wonderful people, and welcome to my family's channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about why I'm no longer an assistant principal in a New York City public high school. Let's talk about what I needed to do to get there, how long I was teaching before I even became an assistant principal, what I absolutely loved about my job, what I really disliked about my job, why I'm leaving, and what my future plans are. So what did I need to do to become an educational administrator or an assistant principal? The first thing that I really needed to think about was whether or not it was the step I wanted to go in. Is that the direction that I really wanted to take? I really loved teaching. I loved getting to know my students, having my own classroom, and I also have two very young kids at home and needed to make sure that I was able to make that dedication and be able to give my all, because that's who I am. When I'm starting something, I just really like to put my 100% into it, and I wanted to make sure that that's something I wanted to do. So that is something that you should consider as well, whether your lifestyle really matches up to the expectations of the job, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Also, if you're working in New York City, I'm not sure if this is accurate anywhere else, but I know in New York City, if you've been teaching for a very long period of time, sometimes there really is a very minimal financial gain to becoming an assistant principal with a lot more expectations. So that's also something else that you want to consider. Another good thing that our school allowed us to do was all the instructional APs would teach at least one class in their day, and we were able to workshop a lot of things in our classroom so that we would be able to give it to early adopter teachers and really give some tips on what to do, what not to do, what worked, what didn't work, which was really nice. So the logistics. In order to become an assistant principal in a New York City public high school, you have to hold something called a School Building Leader Certificate, an SBL certificate. So what I did to get that certificate was I attended a program called CITE. So it stands for Center of Integrated Training and Education, CITE. I'll link them below. If you work for New York City Public High School, you're really able to get into that program. And well, obviously, you have to apply, get into the program. It's almost like a fast track. You work throughout the school year on weekends or evenings, and you also work during the summer. When I say work, I mean you're attending classes, and you have the option of also going on to the SDL, which is a school district leader certificate, which is only 2 more classes. And when you do that, you're also able to work at a district office. Examples would be like coaching administrators in a school, coaching other teachers, which really gives you the ability to be flexible on which direction you want to go to if you're going to site, because they give you that ability to take the extra classes. So in terms of coursework, I will put that picture here so that you're able to see it and get an idea of what the expectations are of you when you're going to attend the program. I attended the program through a college named the College of St. Rose. There is no partnership with them right now, but the school will be changing and the program still is accepting applicants if you are interested. Before I became an assistant principal, I taught from 2016 to 2020. Then I was the professional development coordinator from 2020 to 2021, which also meant that I was still teaching. And then from 2021 to 2024, school year 2024, I was an assistant principal for the English as a new language department, where I supervised 11 teachers. I really loved it about my school was the student population. There was a lot of diversity. It was also in a neighborhood in which I grew up in. And there's nothing like being able to give back to that school community by also giving back to the community in which you and family members and friends have grown up in. And the teachers that I supervised were also a major part of why I knew when I was given the opportunity to interview for the job. I knew that I would have loved to supervise the teachers that are in the department because I was working with them prior, and the work ethics of all of them were amazing, still is amazing, I'm sure. And you gotta love the people you work with, you know what I mean? You just got to. Not only were the teachers that I supervised amazing, but also my colleagues, the other assistant principals that I worked with, were amazing. They really made me feel at home. I was one of the youngest in the cabinet, and I was welcomed with open arms. Obviously, I think that has something to do with the fact that I built up a rapport, and instructionally I was a strong teacher, and so I have to stop doing that. And so I was respected, and so that was helpful. They really were able to welcome me. There's always a sense of evolution when it comes to education. There's things that work, there's things that don't work. And I think that being able to mold and support teachers is really important, because when I was teaching, I loved that. I loved feedback. I loved to hear how I did, what I could improve on. And the teachers that I worked with also enjoyed receiving feedback. So that was another thing that I loved about being an assistant principal. I also loved observing. Writing the observations, not so much, but I love to observe and see what teachers are doing in their classroom. Because to be honest, I was learning from them as well. I learned so many things that I took back into my room, and I gave the teachers credit for it because they had the time to experiment. You know, they were experimenting things, and I gave them that ability to experiment and like not have any repercussions, you know, and use that what they learned to then turnkey it to other teachers, turnkey it to me, turnkey it to other assistant principals. And so I think that that was another highlight of being an assistant principal, especially in the school that I worked at. The juiciness. What did I not like? And let's see if that's the reason why I'm leaving. Um, so what did I dislike about my job? Um, as you guys know, I spoke about being the assistant principal for the English as a new language department, which means that the students that we primarily worked with or solely worked with were English language learners or multilingual learners. And I love the population, but there was always a pressure on those students to acquire new language while being tested in that language. And so it was scary for them. It was scary for my teachers. It was scary for us because we wanted them to feel loved and successful, but didn't want them to feel like that love and that success is dependent upon their language development. And so that was a struggle that we had as a team. And sometimes that would kind of make it a little fuzzy for me to put my foot down. And I was working on that a lot, and I received a lot of really good feedback about my growth in terms of being a little bit more stern, but also being diplomatic, and keeping my personality, staying true to who I am. So I felt that was something that I grew in, but it was something that I still disliked doing. My work-life balance, I really struggled a lot with that. It affected my mental health. It affected my relationship with my kids, I think, although they probably would say, you know, no, mom, but the mom guilt was there. So I think that that balance really wasn't there. I was always thinking about work. I was bringing homework with me. And this is why I said earlier in the video, make sure that this is something that you would be supported with. And to be honest, I was highly supported by my mother, my mother-in-law, my husband, but I was putting too much pressure on myself. So because of that, I'll segue into another thing that I didn't like about the job. I'm way too nice. I'm way too kind. I do have a firm belief that if teachers are tenured, then they really shouldn't be rated. Maybe like observed for a sense of growth and a sense of feedback, but not so much ratings anymore. So I didn't have a problem with it, but I do feel like teachers that tend to respond better with like warmth and with just coming in just for feedback, and this is like for non evaluative purposes. I really do feel like my teachers and other teachers who I saw as well, they just responded better to knowing that, okay, this is just for feedback, rather than I'm being evaluated or I'm being rated on this specific thing or my specific teaching strategies. um God, this one is the harsh one. I love teaching one class, but miss teaching five. So I loved connecting with students. It was one of the things that I enjoyed doing. I called them my kids. Like when I would talk to my husband, I would say, "Oh yeah, I gotta go buy. It's Halloween. I gotta go buy candy for my kids." Um, I missed that a lot. I missed being in the classroom. I missed having those students, be excited to see me, or if I'm absent, say, "Miss, we missed you yesterday." There's data that needs to be pulled. And a lot of times that had to do with attendance, scholarship, test scores, and it's the world that we live in. So I can't hate on it. But it is something that I did not like too much about it. When I went to school was something that, they tell you that is an expectation, and I met my expectations. For compliance, I exceeded expectations, and I'm not just tapping myself on the shoulder, but it's the truth. And I had no problems with it, but I felt again that it was putting a pressure on teachers and it was putting a pressure on the students. I really do think that people respond well to love and to warmth. And so, kind of drilling something into them, or that kind of stuff works if it's paired with the right type of attitude. And so for some kids that we were able to do that with, it was very helpful, and they were able to meet expectations. But it was a tough part of the job. It really was a tough part of the job. The question that we've been waiting to hear the answer to: why am I leaving this salary as an assistant principal in a New York City public high school? Well, my family's moving to South Korea. And so part of the reason why I'm starting this channel is to have you guys come along with us and really get to know who we are. There's going to be pluses and negatives to each job, but if I was not moving to South Korea, I would continue to work in what I'm doing right now and possibly continue to elevate myself, just because of that's who I am, that I'm always looking for growth. And there really is no, I would say, nothing for me to say I hated the job, or there was nothing that I could do to make myself happy as an assistant principal, because that's not the case at all. The case is that my family's being relocated. My husband has a job offer overseas in South Korea, and so we will be moving with him within the next month and a half. So that's very exciting. I do plan on enjoying that time that I was not able to spend with my girls, and just rebuilding those type of memories and connecting with them all over again, and connecting with myself and building my mental health, and just getting to learn to love myself and love the life that I live, without working, which is going to be really tough for me because I've been working since I was 16 years old. So yeah, so I think it's going to be first doing all of that, and then your girl's definitely going to find a job in education, and whatever that looks like, whether it's administration or teaching. I will be sure to keep you guys updated. All right, bye for now.